Lobliner, TigerFitness.com, in the house of HPN CEO
Sean Torbody.
Rockin'! We did a video yesterday.
We did multiple videos yesterday.
Yes, with the micro sheet videos y'all just saw. Those are off the chain. Chain! Check it out.
That was a 1,000 rep workout.
You know what? Micro sheet has the greatest cardiovascular system in the history of bodybuilding.
Absolutely.
He is the machine. I'm gonna have to relinquish my fucking title.
His drop sets have drop sets.
Stacks on stacks. Check it out. So we did a video on basically how bodybuilding is the only sport where a bunch of spectators, a bunch of little fucking idiots, sitting in their mother's basement jerking off with Icy Hot.
Go easy on him.
Okay. But you know I'm right.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so they go around and they're critiquing bodybuilders and their training and their form, and guys like Mike Rashid and fucking CT Fletcher and idiots like myself and you guys. And not you guys, but those people, they never want anything, not even the internet, but you go to like anything, it's like the spectators are better than the bodybuilders, and they've never accomplished anything.
It's not just that they're critiquing their muscles or their conditioning,
Yeah.
They're critiquing the way that they achieve it, like their training methods, their diet, the way that they set up their training, everything. You know, it's all inferior because it's not necessarily what science has shown to be optimal.
Exactly. Even though science, there's 10 studies showing 10 different results.
Exactly.
That's why they keep doing studies, because there's not one clear-cut fucking result. Okay. Our intention was to just get across, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to spank your monkey, right? And so instead, the entire comment section, the debate was on if bodybuilding is actually a sport. And I have a confession to make. Up until this year, I argued vehemently, even when I was at Weider, I had this argument with Joe himself, that bodybuilding is not a sport. I thought bodybuilding wasn't a sport. I really didn't, because there's no motion, there's no, I mean, and there's a judging panel, and then I'm like, what the fuck? Figure skating's a sport, and there's judges involved. It's subjective. You know, I consider, my daughter did competitive cheer for a year before we realized she was built like a fucking linebacker, and that ain't gonna work. And put her in soccer. And she'll be playing football soon. And the thing is that, have you ever seen a cheerleading event? It's subjective, it's judged, and I gotta admit, I've seen some bad rulings in cheerleading in my couple times going. Also saw some really fat mothers there, man. Yeah, it would have been like a big chubby chaser friggin' reunion if I like fat chicks. But anyway, so we went there. These 15, 16, 12, 8-year-old girls tossing girls like 800 feet in the air, risking their lives.
12 feet in here, though.
Well, let's pretend we're in an unlimited scene. Let's pretend we're at the Tiger Fitness warehouse.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. They're risking their lives. That's a sport. They're competing. It's a sport. I think anytime there's competition involved in some athletic activity, it's an event. Now that I'm a pro bodybuilder and a bad one at that, who has bad form that you guys critique all the time and doesn't eat right, fuck, man. I'm a fucking athlete. Yeah, I might not be able to. You know what? We were talking about tennis. People critiquing me. You're not a good tennis player. I've never played in my life. You give fucking LeBron James, who I will state for the record is one of the greatest athletes to ever live.
Never.
Put a tennis racket in his hand when he's never played. He's gonna suck too.
Yeah, you know what? The thing that separates a sport from an activity is the competitive outlet. It's just as simple as that. If you just work out in the gym, no, that's not a sport because there's no competitive outlet, I should say. If you're a power lifter and you do meets, it's a sport.
Yeah.
Because there's a competitive event where you test your merit against someone else's.
Absolutely.
That's what makes bodybuilding a sport. Whether or not it's subjective or a beauty pageant, in some ways, doesn't matter. There's a scoring system, there's a winner and a loser, there's placings, and you train for it. It's a friggin' sport. It's cut and dry.
It's a sport, and while it's not a sport like that, look, here's the thing. Talk about subjectivity. Wasn't there a big controversy in the NBA with refs throwing games? With refs fixing games with calls? There's subjectivity involved in every sport. What about field goals in the NFL? What about fucking blowing the whistle at the wrong time? There's always going to be...
how about calling a strike?
Yeah, exactly. It's all judgmental.
Yeah.
So, for the record, and we're going to piss people off by saying this because people don't like to see bodybuilding as a sport. Sure, Ronnie Coleman might not be able to run a fucking decathlon. But you look, bowling is a sport. Those fuckers don't even lift. And they look like shit. At least we look like athletes. Sure, I might not be able to fucking pole vault, although my pole is impressive. I will say this. I'm a fucking athlete. And you know what? If you train, and if you're a weekend warrior, you know, my brother, before he was a pro bodybuilder, he used to play fucking weekend hockey. He was an athlete.
Yep.
Everybody is an athlete. Joe Weider, I'd like to say this, and then Sean can, I've been talking too much. I get passionate about this. I got a boner right now. I'm so passionate. Joe Weider. I remember one time he said, I was there, and he said, a bodybuilder, everybody's a bodybuilder. A girl who goes to the gym to do cardio, a guy who goes swimming, anybody who wants to build and improve their body is a bodybuilder. And I say that about athletes. Anybody who's doing any athletic activity is an athlete. The question is, what level of an athlete are you?
Did you just mean to do another video about what makes an athlete?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Stay tuned for that one. All right, Shai, anything we missed?
No, we covered it, man. If you compete, if you take your training and translate it into a competitive outlet or an event, it's a sport. You know, athletic training and being an athlete, it's really a whole nother video. But is bodybuilding a sport? Yes. There's no argument against why it's not a sport. You train for it and you compete against others. Mm-hmm. It's a sport.
Yep. And just calling bodybuilding a beauty pageant because you're jealous. Fuck, that's not a game.